Hey guys, so today I want to share with you one of my favorite sweet breakfasts. I want to show you my favorite granola recipe. Before I get into the recipe, I want to tell you a little bit about my relationship with granola. So growing up in the States with Hungarian parents, I really didn't get a chance to eat those American foods that most kids grow up with. It wasn't until my first job in New York City that I finally got to try granola. I had found myself an apartment in Red Hook, Brooklyn, and I lived pretty much around the corner from Baked Bakery. It's a really amazing bakery, but what I discovered there one morning was their homemade granola. When I tried that with yogurt for the first time, I fell in love. But since then, I've also tried baking my own granola at home because, of course, it's really easy to put together. And over the years, I've come up with a recipe that I think is my favorite because it combines the favorite bits and pieces of all the different granolas that I've tried throughout the years. I love to enjoy this granola with yogurt, specifically like a coconut yogurt, or sometimes I'll have it with a little bit of milk, some oat milk. On those days when I don't feel like having an egg breakfast, or I'm just lazy or a little tired and I just want something sweet, I just reach toward my jar of granola and I have a quick breakfast. So I think this is one of those recipes that you'll also turn to on those days. So let's get started on this homemade granola recipe. For my homemade granola, of course, I've got oats. And for the glue that keeps everything together, I've got coconut oil and honey. And for my mix-ins, I have walnuts and pecans and pumpkin seeds. And now those will bake in the oven with the oats. And then for my flavorings, I have coarse salt, or in this case, this is fleur de sel. And I really love biting on like a coarse bit of salt in my granola. And then I have cinnamon. I think that gives it a really nice, mellow, fall, autumnal flavor. And I've got vanilla extract. Just a teaspoon, but I think if you use a really good, strong, like bourbon vanilla extract, I think that'll give it a really good flavor. And then once this is all baked together, then I'll add the dried fruits. In this case, I've got the dried cherries and I've got the dried apricots, which I'll chop up into little bits. So really the easiest part is what's to come. I'm just gonna mix this all together, minus the dried fruit, and then put it in the oven. First, I'm gonna start with the dry ingredients. So I'm gonna add the salt, the cinnamon, the pumpkin seeds, and then my nuts, walnuts and pecans. And I'm just gonna give this a toss to make sure that everything is really well incorporated. The salt isn't clumped up, cinnamon isn't clumped up either. And now I'm going to add my coconut oil. And I'm gonna add my honey. And since the measuring cup is oiled nicely, the honey will come out much easier. So as you can see, it came out nice and clean. And now I'm going to add the vanilla. And I'm going to give it a good mix. And it smells so good. The vanilla and the cinnamon just really awakens this granola. So I've had the oven preheating at 350 degrees. And now I'm just going to add this to my baking sheet. Bake it for about 20 to 25 minutes, but you'll want to check on it halfway through, give it a toss. Nicely laid out in the pan, and now it's going straight into the oven. So make sure you set a timer for yourself for the first stir. So since we're counting on 20 to 25 minutes, make sure to set a timer for about 10 minutes, check it, give it a stir, and then let it go for another 10 minutes at least, and then see how you like it. And while the granola is baking, I'm going to cut up the apricots into little chunks, but first I like to flatten them to make sure that I get the most out of them. So usually what I like to do is cut them in half and then into little chunks like this. So they're about the same size as the dried cherries. We have our dried cherries and our dried apricots ready to be added to the granola when it comes out of the oven. I'm gonna check on the granola. It's been about 10 minutes. I'm gonna give it a toss and then it'll go back in the oven for another 10 to 15 minutes until it's nice and golden brown. You can really smell the cinnamon now. Make sure to evenly distributed it. I don't want the nuts clumping in one area. And it goes back in the oven for another 10 to 15 minutes. So the granola's been in for another 10-12 minutes and it's looking really nice and brown. So I'm gonna take it out and let it cool. As you can see, it's a beautiful golden brown, almost like a mahogany. And I'm just gonna put it on this rack right here. And I'll let this cool a little bit and then I'll add our dried fruit mix-ins and then it'll be ready to try. So the granola has cooled down nicely. It has a beautiful color, a beautiful aroma. And now I'm just gonna pour it back into my clean mixing bowl. And I'm gonna add the fruit. So I've got my dried cherries and my apricots. The apricots will tend to clump, so I'm gonna mix this thoroughly to make sure that everything is combined and nicely distributed. I'm going to spoon up some yogurt, sprinkle the granola on top, add some fresh fruit, and then we'll try this lovely sweet and aromatic breakfast granola. So I've got some coconut yogurt, but feel free to use whatever yogurt you like. And now I'm going to sprinkle this lovely granola over top. Make sure to get a little bit of everything, the nuts, the dried fruit. Okay. And to decorate this granola, I have this beautiful fresh fig. I'm just going to tear it apart. And I always seem to have a half a banana left over, so I'm going to add that as well. And I'm just going to do some slices. So without further ado, I'm going to give this homemade granola a taste. And I'm grabbing a little bit of the dried fruit as well, and a pecan. I really love the interplay of salty and sweet. Now a little bit of the fresh fig. I'm just gonna keep eating it. This granola is really flavorful, aromatic, salty and sweet, and you've got these bursts of flavor coming from the dried sour cherries and the dried apricots, and the pecans and the walnuts. They're just so nutty when they've been roasted this way. The flavor really comes out, and the oats are nicely browned. I think this is the kind of granola that you'll really like enjoying on one of those lazy Saturday or Sunday mornings when you just want something sweet, kind of like this yogurt parfait idea. So please let me know what you think about this homemade granola recipe. If you've tried it, let me know. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you again for watching.